Members, this is the appointed time and we have a quorum. So I call to order the meeting of the panel on administration of justice and legal services. Item 1, information papers issued since the last meeting. The Secretariat did not issue any information paper. Second item, briefings by the Secretary for Justice and the Director of Administration on the Chief Executive's 2025 policy address. Let me invite the representatives to come in, and please also note the following papers. LC paper CB Rec 2 1789/2025 bracket 01, and then CB bracket 2 1789/2025 bracket 02. These are papers provided by the Department of Justice and by the Administration Wing Chief Secretary for Administration's Office. The next one is CB bracket 2 1789/2025 bracket 03. That's a submission from the Law Society of Hong Kong on the Chief Executive's Policy Address 2025. In fact, that's a submission provided before the delivery of the Chief Executive's Policy Address, and that's CB bracket 2 1789/2025 bracket 04, which is a submission from the Hong Kong Bar Association on the Chief Executive's Policy Address 2025. And please also note the relevant papers, the Chief Executive's 2025 Policy Address, as well as its supplement. Members, if you want to speak, please press the Request to Speak button now. So let's see if the Secretary for Justice is ready. Mr. Paul Lam, please walk us through the paper. Chairman, members, good morning. The Chief Executive delivered the Policy Address 2025 on the 17th of September, and I am very happy to be joined by the core team of the Department of Justice to brief members on the policy initiatives of the Department of Justice and also to listen to your views. I'm going to go through the policy initiatives in this regard in 4 areas. I'll provide the salient points. The first one is to further consolidate the unique strengths of Hong Kong, and that is to consolidate Hong Kong's status as an international dispute and resolution services center, as well as an international legal hub. And we will continue to enhance our services in this regard. The IOMED, the International Organization for Mediation headquarters, will be commissioned very soon. And we are in the final phase of preparation in this regard. We will actively promote mediation in the global community, including the hosting of the International Mediation Summit and the Hong Kong Mediation Week. And then we will also build the Hong Kong International Legal Service building next to the IOMED headquarters. This will house the Hong Kong International Legal Talents Training Academy. There will also be international legal and dispute resolution services institutions, conference facilities, and facilities for international legal affairs research, so on and so forth, so as to promote arbitration and mediation in Hong Kong. We are also going to step up the promotion of legal services, including the relevant accreditation service. We are going to take forward legislative work in the next year. We're also going to promote the pilot scheme on community mediation and also the pilot scheme on sports dispute resolution to promote the use of mediation services in the community and in the sector. Now, according to the International Arbitration Survey conducted by Queen Mary University of London, Hong Kong was ranked the second most preferred seat of arbitration globally. This reaffirms Hong Kong's long-standing leading position as an international preferred seat of arbitration. To further enhance the legal framework, the department will establish a working group by next year to review the arbitration ordinance and consider the need to make amendments so as to ensure that we remain at the forefront of international development when it comes to arbitration. The second aspect is to and enhance the rule of law construction within the GBA, and will leverage on our unique strengths and be the super connector and the super value adder. We're committed to enhancing the interfaces of regulatory frameworks and mechanisms for legal and dispute resolution services within the Greater Bay Area. We are going to take forward a number of initiatives, including the establishment of a panel on of GBA arbitrators and a platform for commercial mediation and arbitration to foster greater collaboration and exchange in the Greater Bay Area. Next, we're going to promote the development of AI and data science industries. Guided by the governing philosophy of better integrating a capable government with an efficient market, we're going to employ enhanced measures to consolidate traditional strengths in sectors such as financial legal services, as well as nurturing emerging industries such as AI, data science, with a view to creating high-quality jobs, increasing people's incomes, and enhancing economic efficiency. There is no bespoke legislation governing the research and development and use of AI. We need to consider the legitimate rights and interests of individuals, enterprises, and organizations. We need to pay attention to and manage risks as well. In view of the increasingly wider application of AI, we need to review the relevant laws so as to promote I&T development to enhance our competitiveness and consolidate our leading position, as well as protecting the legitimate rights and interests of different stakeholders in society. We will establish an interdepartmental working group to coordinate the bureaus to review the legislation to complement wider use of AI. The fourth area is to promote the rule of law education continuously. We attach great importance to implementing rule of law education, and we're taking forward the initiative on various fronts. For example, we'll launch the rule of law education ambassadors so as to as well as the Rule of Law Education Stars Trained Leaders program, so as to give recognition and encouragement to participants who actively promote the rule of law. We'll continue to promote the strength of Hong Kong, and including the rule of law. And in the long run, we will continue to promote Hong Kong as an international legal and dispute resolution services center, enhance our legal infrastructure, step up promotion of our services overseas, as well as advancing the rule of law construction in the Greater Bay Area, and be proactive in supporting the needs of Chinese mainland enterprises in going global by providing and consolidating information for service providers so as to boost our economic development momentum and contribute to our country's high-quality development. That's all from me. We'll be happy to take questions and comments from the floor. Thank you, Chair and members. Next, I will invite Mrs. Monique Ng, Director of Administration, to walk us through the next paper. Please switch on her mic. Thank you. We will brief members on the progress of policy measures of our office in relation to the judiciary and legal aid. Now, we continue to cope with a persistently heavy caseload, and we have been taking multi-pronged measures to ensure that the handling of court proceedings can be done effectively and efficiently. These measures are set out in the paper. They include additional permanent and temporary judicial manpower and open recruitment of judges and judicial officers, and a more proactive case management, wider adoption of mediation as a dispute resolution measure, and the wider use of I&T, as well as enhancing court facilities. In recent years, we have been extensively deploying I&T to enhance efficiency. As at the end of August 2025, over half of law firms in Hong Kong have signed up for the Integrated Court Case Management System, ICMS. In the next 2 years, we will implement ICMS for the remaining cases in phases. We'll also encourage the legal profession to make use of the system to enhance administrative efficiency. With the court's remote hearing ordinance coming into effect in March 2025, the judiciary has actively pursued the use of remote hearings in a more flexible manner. Another initiative is to pursue live broadcasting of selected judicial proceedings outside court premises so as to enhance transparency. This is done through live broadcasting of these proceedings in the CFA. And the judiciary is also actively exploring the use of VTT, that's part of the AI technology for recording court proceedings. We also plan to use VTT-generated text to facilitate transcript production in an incremental manner. In July last year, the judiciary promulgated the first set of guidelines on the use of generative AI for judges and judicial officers and support staff. To shorten the queue for services at the judiciary's registries, in the fourth quarter of this year, the e-appointment system will be extended to cover the district court registry. As for IT infrastructure, I'm happy to report that the works in relation to the new district court building at Caroline Hill Road has been smooth. We expect to commission the facilities by the end of 2027 and early 2028. There will also be in situ reconstruction of the High Court building by phases at the Queensway government offices. We'll closely collaborate with other government departments in terms of design and planning. We also provide full support to the judiciary in enhancing efficiency of court operations at all levels. If necessary, we will also provide support. Now, regarding legal aid, the Legal Aid Department has implemented various measures to ensure that legal aid resources are targeted at those in need and to guard against abuse. The Department will continue to rigorously forestall possible over-concentration of cases among certain lawyers, strengthen the prevention of abuse of legal aid, and widen the pool of lawyers available for taking up legal aid cases in the long run. We'll also proactively step up publicity and explanation work to take forward public education so as to enhance the public's understanding of the legal aid system. We'll continue to review the system from time to time to enhance our services. And based on the Consumer Price Index, or CPIC, we will continue to review the financial eligibility limits for legal aid applicants, as well as Director of Legal Aid's first charge. That concludes my presentation. The judiciary, the CS4A's office, and the Director of Legal Aid will be happy to take questions from members. Next, let me invite Ms. Wong, representing the Law Society of Hong Kong, to say a few words. Ms. Karine Wong. The Law Society of Hong Kong provided submission in response to the government's consultation on the 2025 policy address, covering a number of key areas pivotal to economic growth. The written submission is available for inspection on the website. It's also included in our agenda today. I'd like to give you some salient points. Hong Kong's asset and wealth management sector, including family offices, continues to be one of the region's most dynamic growth areas. Now, we enjoy advantages such as a steadfast free market policies, a thriving financial market, and a highly favorable tax environment. There should be sufficient resources to support the new economic growth industries and provide tax incentives and preferential treatment for the business in Hong Kong. Through the Greater Bay Area, we also should step up cross-border financial connectivity. For example, the government should consider expanding the cross-boundary wealth management connect scheme to cover more diverse products such as private funds. We should also promote Hong Kong's stable legal system and international financial standards to attract more high net worth individuals to come over. In relation to the IP goals under the 14th five-year plan, we should develop a more robust and dynamic IP ecosystem. Now, in the past year, we have been communicating with the government actively in terms of a number of areas such as IP financing, risk management, etc. They should be addressed without delay. We have recommended a number of specific suggestions to the government, including the valuation framework, etc. We're happy to see that our The government has responded positively to our suggestions, such as areas on financing, valuation, and trading. There are also specific measures. For example, a sandbox project will be rolled out in collaboration with the banking sector, insurance, and legal profession. A pilot will be rolled out to help the IP sector in financing matters. Now, we also made another recommendation to the government that is about the Hong Kong's sports and esports industry. We recommend the setting up of a sports law office to take forward the initiatives. We're happy to note that the government has set up the Advisory Committee on Sports Dispute Resolution to advise government on the design, setting up, and implementation of the pilot scheme. Now, in this year's policy address, the government has indicated its commitment to take forward this initiative. Now, we ask the government to reconsider setting up the Sports Law Office so as to take forward areas of the sports law that do not relate to dispute resolution, such as sponsorship contracts, IP, and patents. We believe this will help promote economic development. In terms of the Hong Kong International Legal Services building, which will be constructed next to the IOMET headquarters, we believe that this will help consolidate Hong Kong's status as an international legal and dispute resolution services center. On enhancing the international law front, we have made 2 recommendations. In terms of the delivery of instruments, we have seen a number of hurdles, such as frauds arising from uncertain recipients and the lack of a tracing mechanism. We encourage more collaboration with stakeholders so as to improve the mechanism. Now, in the 2025-26 budget consultation, we asked government to provide more resources to support the judiciary so as to enhance the infrastructure, including the implementation of ICMS. That should be another element on the delivery of the service of documents. We welcome the relevant measures for Hong Kong enterprises to use Hong Kong as a seat of arbitration and also to adopt Hong Kong law in the mainland, because this can help enhance our legal and dispute resolution services. It will also provide more business opportunities and enhance our status as a super value added and the super connector in the mainland and global market. We should continue to discuss with the Central People's Government on extending the above measures to other major cities in the mainland so as to promote our legal and dispute resolution services and also to provide services to Belt and Road countries. Now, just between the 19th and the 22nd of September, on the invitation of the Shantung provincial government, we led a delegation to Shantung for exchange with a legal professor and legal profession, and I also joined this delegation. I fully appreciate that Hong Kong should continue to promote our advantages as the only place in the mainland that practices common law. We should continue to enhance our support for maritime legal services, including helping mainland enterprises go global. We should also help mainland enterprises resolve maritime legal issues and disputes. There are also some target groups. We can help them create standard contracts. Then these include shipbuilders, and also other maritime companies in the mainland. This can help enhance our status as the premier choice of arbitration in maritime law, and we should also explore new growth areas and continue to enhance our capacity building initiatives to enhance the professional standards of the legal sector in Hong Kong and improve our profile in the international community. We will continue to give our views to the government.
Next, we have Mr. Brian Chow, Bar Council member of the Hong Kong Bar Association. 5 minutes, please. Thank you. Secretary, Director, Chairman, good morning. The Bar Association supports the major initiatives proposed in the policy address. We would like to express our views in the following 4 areas. First, on AI, the Bar Association is happy that the DOJ is going to set up an interdepartmental working group to review the legislations required for wider adoption of AI. This would ensure simultaneous development of the legal system as well as technology. The Bar Association looks forward to providing our views on the relevant studies to ensure that the adoption of AI will meet the ethical as well as practical requirements. Secondly, we understand that adjacent to the IOMET, there will be the International Legal Service Building. It will serve as a body to help resolve legal and disputes. It is said in the report that in 2026, the initial work for the building will be commenced and that an international mediation summit will be held. Our association supports the development scheme. We hope that the building will have a good design that meets the needs of the sector. We also hope that the summit will be able to facilitate international exchanges among experts and help promote the relevant work. Also, it is mentioned in the report that the Deputy Secretary for Justice will be in charge of promoting the legal services in Hong Kong. He will work with the accounting sector, the financing sector, and other professions in Hong Kong to help mainland enterprises to go global. Our association is happy to help with the publicity campaign. Also, it is mentioned in the report that by the end of this year, the panel of GBA mediators will be established, and that by 2026, there will be the platform for GBA commercial mediation and arbitration. Our association encourages the active participation of members in this mechanism to facilitate the integration of Hong Kong into the GBA. Overall speaking, the association supports the various initiatives proposed in the policy address. We look forward to working closely with the government. Thank you. I'll now open the floor for questions. I'll give each member 5 minutes, including questions and answers. Ms. Carmen Khan, please. Good morning. Thank you, Chairman. I very much welcome the various initiatives proposed in the policy address that's under the purview of the Department of Justice. I've also heard the views expressed by the 2 legal professional bodies. We've heard the views of the legal practitioners on the initiatives in the coming years. I see that the government is trying to pursue economic growth and it strives to help mainland enterprises to go global, as there will be a dedicated task force. I see that the government will play the role as a coordinator. For example, the Deputy Secretary for Justice will play an important role in helping mainland enterprises to go global. He will work with the accounting sector as well as the financing sector to tell good stories of Hong Kong. I took part in a training program in Shanxi province. I wanted to learn how mainland enterprises would cope with the risk of investing in Hong Kong. So the CEDB as well as the Deputy Secretary for Justice would take up the mission to help mainland enterprises to go global. That means the CEDB will work with the business sector and bring them to the global market. I hope that there could be a good interfacing. For example, the business sector will look for the right investors, and the legal sector will help with the matching. So I hope that the future task force will be able to work together. Simply put, I hope that they won't work in silos. We have the Hong Kong Asset Management Center, and we have also passed the law on redomiciliation. We also have our IPs, so I want to hear from the DOJ about how it will actually help mainland enterprises to go global. Secondly, on AI, we cannot fall behind. Various policy bureaus, including the FSTB as well as the Education Bureau, they have announced their own AI statements and declarations. If we fall behind on our legislations, we won't have a clear regime on what kind of AI we should adopt and what kind of algorithm we should use. So I think these have to be looked at by the interdepartmental group to be set up by the government. Will external consultants take part in the working group, or will the working group comprises of government officials only? Also, will we see progress to be made by the working group before the delivery of the 2026 policy address? One comment and two questions. Secretary, please. I'll ask the Deputy Secretary to supplement afterwards. Now, apart from our department, the CEDB will also work on this initiative. The DOJ focuses more on providing one-stop professional services. This is not something new, but we want to step up our efforts in this regard. For example, when we go to the mainland to promote our services, we do not only talk to the enterprises, we also invite, for example, members of the Hong Kong Stock Exchanges to explain to them about the services provided by our financial institutions. We hope to provide a one-stop professional service for them. We want to provide comprehensive services. As to how we are going to work with the CEDB, I'll ask the Deputy Secretary to explain later. Now, turning to the point about AI, it involves different areas and different bureaus. It cannot simply be dealt with by one single policy bureau. Of course, the ITIB will take the lead. To give you an example, we are working to amend the copyright ordinance. It is one of the areas that have to do with AI. In various places in the world, there are a fixed regulatory framework for the adoption of AI, so we will get advice from different consultants or advisory committees if necessary as we take forward our legislative exercise. We haven't yet held a meeting on coming up with the timetable for this. We will have to have a chance to actually discuss with other members of the meeting in order to make a decision on the timetable. Deputy Secretary. On bringing mainland enterprises to the global market, mainland enterprises require legal services when there are commercial activities. So this gives us a very good chance to bring in the professional services provided in Hong Kong. So why professional services? We strive to bring mainland enterprises to go global. There are different provinces and cities in the mainland, and the types of services the different types of enterprises require are different. Say, for example, EV companies in the mainland would like to go global. So can we offer the relevant services in Hong Kong for these enterprises? Marine law is a very specialized area. So in future, we will consolidate the different professional services provided in Hong Kong so that we can provide the right service for mainland enterprises. This will be very helpful to mainland companies, and I think this is the best way for us to leverage our strengths and contribute to our country. In future, the platform led by the CEDB as well as the platform led by the DOJ will work together. I believe the CEDB has already heard members' views, and later on I'll work with the relevant bureaus. Hopefully we can leverage our strengths on professional services in Hong Kong.
AI.
What about law relating to the use of AI? Will the government engage a consultant to help in the policy formulation process? Now, as I said, we haven't even taken the first step, and if we are going to do so, we'll definitely tap on the collective wisdom. So I'm not going to rule this out. As for exactly the scope of consultation and who should engage, I think we need to put our heads together and decide that later. Next, Mr. Holden Chow. Thank you, Chairman. This year's policy address reiterates the importance of bolstering Hong Kong's status as an international legal and dispute resolution services center. And regarding arbitration, I understand that there may be amendments to the arbitration ordinance. Now, my questions are as follows. The arbitration ordinance was enacted in the 1990s, and then in 2011, with the help of the Hong Kong International Arbitration Center, we amended the ordinance. And it's been 10 years since. Now, my question is on Section 34 of the arbitration ordinance, because when it comes to the UNCITRAL's model law, if no settlement could be reached through arbitration, basically the Hong Kong IAC will help appoint the panel of arbitrators. Since we now have others on the list which are also eligible, is it possible to amend the arbitration ordinance to include more eligible arbitration institutions? This can be done by express provisions in the law or otherwise. My point is to allow more institutions to take up this duty, because at the moment there is an express provision for the Hong Kong IAC to appoint an arbitrator. So can we allow more eligible institutions to play the same role, because we have other eligible arbitration institutions in Hong Kong as well? We should promote diversity. Your thoughts, Secretary? Will you consider the suggestion, Secretary? Let me explain the background. As I said, this ordinance was enacted some time ago. Now, we enjoy good reputation in the global community, but we must not be complacent. If we take a look at the practices in other jurisdictions that excel at arbitration, such as the UK, they recently passed a new act. And in the mainland, in fact, the arbitration law has just been amended. So times have changed. We need to continue to review the situation and polish our appeal. The ultimate goal is to enhance Hong Kong's attractiveness as an arbitration hub, so we need to remain open and competitive so as to encourage global participants to use us as an arbitration center. We set up a working group, and the time is ripe to tap collective wisdom. We'll consider what aspects of the arbitration ordinance should be reviewed. We have no preconceived position on this matter. After setting up the working group, we'd like to tap your views. Now, if the sector believes that times have changed and that we should remain open and give more opportunities to other institutions, we of course will keep all options open. We encourage open discussions as long as the suggestions could boost Hong Kong's competitiveness. We'll respond positively to these suggestions. Excellent. In that case, we'll continue to have an open discussion. Professor Priscilla Leung, Chairman. I need to acknowledge the government's efforts in promoting our legal services to the international community. Our efforts have yielded results. In particular, we have made visits to other places, and that in these places, the members of the parliament or other legal professionals have expressed interest in Hong Kong and the legal services it has to offer. Now, we usually promote one country, two systems and the basic law, but usually this is related to patriotic education. Now, recently I visited Rome along with the delegation, and I had a chance to give a talk about one country, two systems and the basic law. In fact, Europe is very interested in one country, two systems in Hong Kong because of the international landscape, and they even ask questions such as why we have been successful and whether there is a chance for Europe to adopt the same system. So my point is that when it comes to one country, two systems, we should always talk about the common law. We practice the common law, and it's a linchpin of our success. I just want to make sure this point is well noted, because we see wars around the world, and yet we are setting a very good example. We have a very good legal system, and whenever I talk about the basic law, I talk about our legal system. Now, the next point is that I'd like to give my full support to this legal services building next to the IOMET headquarters, which will house the academy. Courses will be offered, as I understand, apart from international law, common law, and civil law. We can also explain the basic law and how this can help solve international disputes, especially when it comes to sovereignty disputes. My next point is that we can become the world-class international corporate restructuring center. I moved a motion in March this year on the same topic. This involves relaxation of rules. According to our country, our position is one of international legal and dispute resolution services center. So we need to give full play to take up this role. Now, my question is this. When it comes to companies winding up, we need to catch up with the mainland, London, and Singapore. We need to promote the insolvency dispute resolution mechanism in Hong Kong. So when we talk about mediation, we should include the process of white knights salvaging corporations. In fact, I raised the point to the Department of Justice a number of times, but it was the right time back then. There were opposing voices. But now time is ripe to reconsider this option so that we can catch up with Singapore and London when it comes to corporate restructuring. Right, this is a comment. Would you like to respond to that, Secretary? Just very briefly about external promotion of one country, two systems. I subscribe to Professor Leung's views. I also went to Rome in June. We talked about one country, two systems, and this is a very intriguing concept for our counterparts because they will provide new opportunities for development in Asia. So I'd like to have more opportunities of exchange with you, Priscilla, so that we can do it more effectively. The second point is about the International Legal Talent Training Academy. We design our courses based on the demand. If these elements are attractive to overseas candidates, and of course they will be included in a course design. On company law, I have received comments from the legal profession, and there are areas that require amendments, and we will take it forward and explore the necessary legislative framework. We need to enact a legal framework and create favorable conditions for corporate restructurings to take place in Hong Kong. And then we will also consider how the mediation mechanism can be included. We'll try to work it out with other bureaus. Next, Ms. Maggie Chan. Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate the policy initiatives relating to the Department of Justice in this year's policy address. I see that frameworks and platforms are coming together, and that we've taken a big step towards meeting the goals. These are conducive to bolstering our status as an international legal hub. As for the use of AI, we shouldn't just confine ourselves to law tech. This is also the overall policy direction of our government. That means when we talk about law tech, we're not just talking about the legal sector. It's law tech and tech law. So a word of praise on this front, and the policy address also refers to mediation and arbitration in the Greater Bay Area. Now, I also practice in these areas as well. I'd like to thank the Department of Justice and the government for heeding my suggestion, and that task force will be set up to help formulate support measures to help mainland enterprises go global. This will also provide opportunities for development for our professional services. During the policy address consultation, I raised this point, and I was fortunate enough to have joined the delegation to Guangzhou on the 24th of June, led by the Deputy Secretary for Justice. Now, I make a suggestion then, and I raised the same to the Chief Executive at the Q&A session. There should be greater diversity in the composition of the delegations, so that we have representatives of major law firms as well as smaller ones, so that we have older and younger representatives of the legal profession. Now, whenever the Deputy Secretary leads a delegation, we always see the familiar faces. Whilst I fully appreciate this is a top-level design, I hope that the delegation can include more representatives. About services to support mainland enterprises go global, we need to promote our legal services. For example, on the 24th of June, we explained to enterprises in Guangzhou about our services. And that was really useful information for them. And yet, these enterprises might not have started going global. They might be stuck at having business disputes. So what we have talked about might be too remote for them. In fact, we should work with Invest Hong Kong, CDB, and other government departments, and that the legal profession should give our strong support to the business sector to promote economic development opportunities. And we should not be complacent about the so-called unique advantages that Hong Kong enjoys under one country, two systems. Because, in fact, mainland enterprises could go elsewhere and engage lawyers there. It's not really necessary to engage any Hong Kong lawyers. So we need to provide the one-stop service. We need a concerted effort within the government. And finally, the secretary and deputy secretary are so busy. You can't always lead the delegations. So the department should organize more delegations of different nature so as to benefit more small to medium law firms. Finally, after showing my appreciation, I'd like to criticize the government for not showing support to the development for small to medium-sized law firms.
These are mainly comments from the member secretary. I thank Ms. Maggie Chen for the comments. We came up with a lot of these initiatives after taking on board members' views, so I'd like to take this opportunity to thank members for their opinions. We want to invite as many members as possible from the legal sector when we go overseas. However, we'll have to look at the schedule of different members of the sector. We do hope that we can bring new members from the legal sector every time we go abroad. Now, we have been promoting our dispute resolution services, and I often invite our colleagues from the Hong Kong Stock Exchange as well as Hong Kong Invest to go with us. We understand that enterprises have to first set up their businesses first and then learn about the dispute resolution services. So we will do this step by step. Ms. Chen mentioned one point that mainland enterprises may not necessarily have to go through Hong Kong if they want to tap into the global market. So we will step up our role. We will explain to mainland enterprises how we can work with them to bring benefits to them. So I believe this is one area that the task force led by the Deputy Secretary will do. Next, Deputy Chair, Ms. Eunice Yong. Thank you. I agree with most of the initiatives proposed in this year's policy address. The government has taken on board our views. For example, we have the IOMET now, and how can we further promote our status as an international legal hub? Now I'd like to learn more about the International Legal Service Building. I understand that it will house the training academy. I want to know what the timetable is going to look like. If it cannot be built in time, it won't be able to help us achieve our goals. Next year, the IOMED will be launched officially. How are we going to make use of the legal service building? What kind of organizations can establish presence there? For example, the Hong Kong International Mediation Center. Can local law firms or international law firms be able to move in? You are building a structure from scratch. We haven't yet had a new building like this where it can house different types of organizations. I think among the legal sector there is a huge demand for such facility. Now I see that the DOJ over the past few years have been going abroad, for example, to the Middle East and to the mainland. It has been promoting the common law system in Hong Kong, as well as the one country, two systems principle. I see that the Secretary has been in talks with the Middle East, as well as, for example, Dubai, to explain to them how we adopt the common law system. I think we should step up our efforts in this regard. And it was said that the task force will help promote the professional services here. I think this deserves our support because we have been talking about how we can help mainland enterprises to go global. The task force will play a pivotal role here. Just now, Ms. Maggie Chan also touched on this. Small and medium-sized law firms and lawyers should also play a role. How can we snatch businesses as we help mainland enterprises to go global? About 10 years ago, I took part in a duty visit led by the Bar Association. We went to Beijing. In recent years, this kind of trips only invited council members. I hope that you would also give opportunities to other law firms to take part in this kind of overseas visits to help promote our legal services. Barristers in Hong Kong now can take up their own businesses from the mainland, so I hope the Bar Association as well as the DOJ will give them more opportunities in this regard. Now, the Belt and Road Summit and Forum was a success. Some 6,000 people took part in the forum. The DOJ also played an important role. It tried to facilitate deals among different parties, and I saw that different stakeholders took part in this kind of deals. Will the future legal service building be able to provide such service regularly instead of having the Belt and Road Forum once a year, which gave us an opportunity to facilitate deals and agreements? We need to make sure that on an ongoing basis that we can have lawyers and barristers in Hong Kong to have this kind of opportunity. Now, turning to the promotion of the rule of law, the annual drama performance was great. Can we have different forms of promotion for children, for example, online comics and animation? I hope the government can do more in this regard. I also see that there is the ambassador scheme. Can this scheme be promoted in primary and secondary schools in Hong Kong so that students have the idea of rule of law in their minds? If they can serve as ambassadors, they can promote to their peers and friends the importance of upholding rule of law. Secretary, let me summarize and recap the questions asked by Ms. Eunice Yong. Now, about the International Legal Service Building. We've been saying that Hong Kong is an international legal service center, and in order to cement this status, we hope to organize more international legal conferences. Like Ms. Yong said, we have the Belt and Road Forum. We can also hold more capacity building programs. During our exchanges with the mainland, we learned that they'd like to take part in learning more about the common law system in Hong Kong. However, we faced challenges. For example, if we want to organize large-scale conferences or capacity building programs, we have to look for venues, and this is not an easy task. We have been facing certain constraints in this regard. So, in order to train up international talents, we do want to, in a more targeted manner, organize legal conferences and exchanges, as well as capacity building programs. This is the first point. Now, on promoting our legal services, we have different arbitration organizations in Hong Kong. There is a huge demand for mediation and arbitration facilities, so we are looking at whether we can provide more such facilities. Thirdly, at the west wing of the CGO, there is a legal hub. It provides for local and international legal bodies office spaces so that they can hold their own activities and events. In this regard, we hope to step up our measures so that there could be a better environment provided for the legal organizations. We hope to build a landmark so that we can give people the perception that we are capable of building ourselves into an international legal center. We haven't yet had a concrete timetable yet. We are currently holding some studies on this. We cannot, for example, have a 100-story high building. We have to look at the objective constraints and conditions, including the geographical environment. Once we have done the studies, we will talk to the legal sector. Hopefully, we could achieve our target. Just now, Ms. Eunice Yong also mentioned about including barristers in promoting our services. I've been in close liaison with the Bar Association. Through the Bar Association, we learn who are interested in taking part in our activities. So we welcome any members of the sector to join us if they would like to. Now, I'd like to thank Ms. Eunice Yong for her support in our work on promoting rule of law. We do need the participation of all members of the public. The rule of law event is held once a year, but it doesn't mean that we do not have regular activities. We go to different schools to launch drama performances. Through visiting primary schools, we stage drama performances. It's just that every year we have one flagship event to promote the rule of law. We will do more, definitely. We hope to enhance students' and teachers' understanding of the rule of law. So we will continue our work in this regard. Thank you. In the interest of time, we are supposed to end this meeting at 10:30 a.m. We have 8 members who are waiting to speak. I'll be strict with the time, so please be brief. Next, Mr. Martin Liao. Thank you. According to the paper, the DOJ will promote the development of AI as well as data science, and by the end of 2025, an interdepartmental working group will be set up to coordinate different policy bureaus to review the relevant legislations. The idea is to promote the wider adoption of AI. I want to ask the DOJ as well as the judiciary how they are going to encourage our courts to make use of AI in, for example, dealing with the paperwork as well as the clerical work to alleviate the workload of our judges as well as the judicial officers, so that we can help them boost their work efficiency. Also, the Supreme Court in China mentioned that in 2025, they are going to build a more comprehensive AI adoption system. A number of courts in the mainland, for example, the court in Shenzhen from June 2024 to March 2025, dealt with 4.74 times of cases with the use of AI. They made use of AI to hand out ruling, and also they dealt with 160,000 cases, and it helped reduce the processing time by 38 days. And this really helped boost efficiency. Understand that the judiciary has a very high standard in terms of ensuring confidentiality. It has its concerns, and this is totally right. And I want to know if the DOJ has talked to the courts in the mainland so that the judiciary can have more confidence in making use of AI. Also, has the judicial officers from the judiciary tried using AI, and what has been their feedback?
Yes, we'll take these questions. Chairman, I think Martin was mostly asking about court operations. Perhaps I should give the floor to the judiciary. Yes. Anyone from the judiciary? Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Dr. Martin Liao, for the questions. As pointed out in the paper, in 2024, the judiciary promulgated the first set of guidelines on the use of generative AI. So we lay down some principles through the guidelines. Staff may make prudent and reasonable use of generative AIs in the course of their work where appropriate. Now, like the member said, we must ensure accuracy of the work generated by AI, especially when it involves legal matters. And according to the guidelines, we have yet to see any technology relating to AI that could fully replace the work of a judicial professional, including verification of information. So we have not allowed the use of AI in the core duties of judicial officers, such as the preparation of judgment and legal analysis. However, for other court operations, such as voice-to-text technology, AI is now widely deployed. And in substantive hearings, judges can make use of this VTT technology. This can help save their time in note-taking. Now, as for the next step, we are going to conduct tests on the other uses of generative AI. We have been exploring a wider adoption of this technology in other areas. And these are administrative work, including the preparation of standard documents as well as basic translation. So we have been trying out different uses. As for the judiciary in the mainland, we have regular exchange channel to keep up with the latest developments, especially when it comes to using generative AI. We do make reference to the mainland experience. Any follow-up? No? Next, Dr. Junis Ho. Thank you, Chairman. In Chapter 6, Part 5 of the Policy Address, the Chief Executive refers to enhancing our role as an international legal and dispute resolution services center. Whilst I give my full support to the government's work, I'd like to make the following suggestions to the Secretary. Now, on IOMED, we have a platform, and that means the IOMED headquarters will be established in Hong Kong. It's a process of nesting. Our goal is to attract high-end dispute resolution service users to Hong Kong. And if the matter can be settled, then so be it. This is an international organization. We do hope that the matter can be settled here and that an agreement can be reached. But how should it be enforced? Should we revert to the UN mechanism or otherwise? Because in the event of a breach of agreement, what will be the consequence? How should it be enforced? Should we go to an international law court, or should we rely on the international arbitration process? So I'd like to seek your enlightenment so as to give certainty to our profession. The second point is that ADR, of course, is not the same as a traditional court proceeding. For alternative dispute resolution, we're referring to mediation and arbitration, and like Mr. Holden Chow said, of course, we need to enhance our role in this regard. If the matter comes back to Hong Kong, we should give recognition to the arbitral awards given by these institutions. Should it be done by the operation of law, or should we from time to time update the provisions in the arbitration ordinance? What about enforcement of the arbitral awards? Is it to be enforced by the courts in Hong Kong? In the judicial process, what if there is a dispute as to the authority of a certain arbitration institution? So I think some leeway should be given when it comes to enforcement of the arbitral awards in the future. I'd like to have your thoughts on this. The third point is about the Greater Bay Area. 616 lawyers have passed the GBA legal exam, but less than 10% of these lawyers are truly practicing in the mainland. This scheme will be extended, or will this scheme be extended after its expiry in 2026? This will provide opportunities for lawyers who are interested in setting up their practice in the Greater Bay Area. Can we make an amendment to the Oath and Declaration Ordinance so as to empower the lawyers to receive oaths and declaration from Hong Kong enterprises operating in the Greater Bay Area, so that they don't need to travel back to Hong Kong in order to bear witness to legal documents or make affirmation in. I think this is under your portfolio. I do hope that this can be implemented as quickly as possible. Thank you. Chair Secretary, would you like to respond to the questions? Yes, very briefly about enforcement. As I understand, there are specific provisions in the Convention of International Mediation. and how the settlement agreement should be enforced if the IOMET has been involved. I understand, of course, things may not be in black and white because there may be different practices in different jurisdictions. The settlement should be enforced according to the respective laws of the jurisdiction. And in Singapore, in terms of civil and commercial matters, there is a mechanism that follows the international convention. We need to wait for the commissioning of the IOMET headquarters in Hong Kong. It is an international organization, and I believe we will further explore the enforcement matters. The Hong Kong SAR government will actively participate in the process, including any support for the IOMET over this matter. The second point is about recognition of arbitral awards. Now, for international arbitration, what is key is the New York Convention. Now, for state parties to the New York Convention, regardless of the arbitration institution, all countries adopt the same rules and same standards in enforcing the arbitral awards. As for the courts in Hong Kong, we follow the model law of UNSTRO. And this is how we promote ourselves. We are pro-arbitration. Unless there is grave injustice or prejudice or grave prejudice to any party in the arbitration process, we don't need to consider how arbitral awards should be enforced. We are happy to undertake this international obligation. As for the third point, I agree with the member that we should try to tap business opportunities for the legal profession. About allowing the witnessing of oaths and making of declarations in the mainland, we need to discuss with the mainland counterparts. We will actively explore the feasibility with the mainland authorities. I fully agree that we should make a step so that we can tap new business opportunities for lawyers in Hong Kong. I'd like to deliver as well, and I thank the member for his support. Next, Mr. Chiming. Thank you, Chairman. Other members have talked about laws related to AI and the use of AI, and the Secretary already answered that there will be a review on the relevant laws and supporting measures. But I want to give you a case for illustration purpose. Earlier, according to media report, a law student used free AI app to make indecent photos and nude photos of a number of girls. With the technological advancements and wider use of AI, there are more sexual offenses relating to deepfake. And in South Korea and the United States last year, laws were passed to target these sex crimes using deepfake technology. There is also dedicated law in the UK on the use of deepfake as well. In Hong Kong, however, there is a provision relating to the making of intimate images for publication without consent, but it's not a criminal offense when it comes to using AI for pranks or for retaliation. This may involve cyber frauds or cyber bullying. Now, according to the paper in paragraph 20, the Department of Justice will review the relevant laws with wider use of AI. I'd like to know whether there is a timetable and how will this review be done. Thank you. Well, apart from certain other legal bodies have expressed concerns as well. I remember the Bar Association for Hong Kong published an article in this regard. An interdepartmental working group will be set up. I'm not in a position to tell you the timetable at this moment because we need to consider the scope of legislation involved, and we need to have a discussion before drawing up a timetable. And meanwhile, we understand that the technology advances at great speed. We need to be able to catch up with the progress. We need to review the law, in other words, and this is something we must deal with. I don't have a timetable, but this is definitely something we will do.
Next, Mr. Paul Che. Thank you. Chinese people always talk about crisis. We have the concept of yin and yang, and even for chopsticks we have two sticks. So where do the crises lie, and what kind of crisis does the DOJ have to deal with? First, I'd like to talk about the registration of same-sex partnerships bill. The government did not secure the support of the Legislative Council on this bill. We have been talking about the merits of the common law system as well as one country, two systems principle. Do the merits still exist, however? And what kind of risks and crises are we facing? Does the DOJ have to follow up on this issue? For example, there was money dedicated to this bill, and with this precedent, will the Legislative Council members be allowed to object to the approval funding applications from the government? This is because we have already set the precedent of voting down the bill. Will we become the laughing stocks of the international community? So I want to know, how will the government follow up on the same-sex partnership bill? Now, just now, the members, some members have talked about the trend, the development trend of the legal sector, and they have been praising how the government is moving forward and moving with the times. I agree that we are no longer in the era where we use pagers. However, we still have, for example, a lot of small and medium-sized law firms that are dealing with land leases. We have just passed the land titles bill, and by doing away with the old deeds registration system, it may affect the businesses of some law firms in Hong Kong. Also, I have talked to some mainland lawyers, and I learned that a lot of them hold a bachelor and master degree and even a PhD, and they earn very high income, and lawyers in Hong Kong cannot be compared to them. So the government has talked about its visions. One of the visions is to, for example, have the IOMED set up in Hong Kong. That is like having the international court moved to Hong Kong. Those who help deal with cases at IOMED, they might be lawyers from other places. So how much will Hong Kong lawyers actually take part in these international cases at the IOMED? We want to bring arbitration cases from other places to Hong Kong. Am I getting it right? It is. Are we actually trying to bring the Hague Court to Hong Kong? This will serve as a symbolic organization in Hong Kong. However, we also have to attach importance to the room of survival of our local lawyers as well as the development of our legal sector. I agree with what Mr. Junius Ho said. we could perhaps amend the Oath and Declarations Ordinance and empower lawyers in Hong Kong to help enterprises in the mainland to take oaths. So what I want to say is that while we have all these initiatives and great goals and visions, how can we ensure that lawyers in Hong Kong will be able to move with the times and benefit from these initiatives? Will the training programs and large-scale conferences held by the DOJ actually benefit lawyers in Hong Kong? How can we help local lawyers transform themselves for better development? Secretary, to respond to the first question, now on the same registration of same-sex partnership bill, you may have noticed that the CMAB has already introduced the bill and the LegCo voted down the bill. I won't say this is a bad precedent. I do not agree. Well, this is the ruling made by the Court of Final Appeal, so we respect the ruling. We think that it is worth it for us to introduce this bill as well as to the public. And this is also an instruction made by the court. While we respect the ruling made by the court, we have to stick to the constitutions in Hong Kong. At the end of the day, whether we can enact the legislation, it is up to the Legislative Council. We have to have LegCo members vote on the bill, and LegCo members have already expressed their divergent views on this bill. This is something that we have to accept with this constitutional order, and we have to respect the views of LegCo members. It's not that the executive branch will just put aside the bill. We have learned that LegCo members and members of the public have very different views on this topic. So how can we, in a pragmatic manner, continue to take forward our work? We will continue to work with the relevant bureaus on this. This is a challenge for us. This is because we are met with so many different views at this council. So there is a certain level of complexity to this matter. However, we have to respect people's views. But this will not affect our other work. For example, for torture claims, we have been complying with the international conventions. So I do not think that the fact that LegCo members voted down the bill would affect our work in other areas. Now, on the development of local lawyers, IOMET is a top-level matter. It will deal with disputes between countries and perhaps disputes between investors. So cases to be dealt with will cover a wide area. The IOMET headquarters will be set up in Hong Kong because our country hopes that we can enhance our status as an international mediation center. We want people to know that we have the relevant talents here. It might be a success, it might not be a success, but we want to let the world know that we have the relevant talents that can deal with legal disputes here. This will help enhance people's understanding of Hong Kong as an international legal dispute resolution center. There are also people who need basic legal services in Hong Kong. So on one hand, we want to reinforce our status as an international hub. But on the other hand, we have to make sure that we can provide basic legal services for the grassroots. The DOJ has to work to meet the needs of different lawyers. Some lawyers would like to take up businesses from the grassroots. Some would like to turn to the international market. Every lawyer has his own strengths. So our job is to provide a framework that makes sure that each lawyer can meet their needs. Now, apart from the comments made by Dr. Junius Ho, as mentioned, we will set up a platform in the GBA. We hope that we can have a platform for information exchange so that we can learn from each other how we can promote our businesses to the GBA, so that this will not just be an empty talk. We want to yield concrete results. We have to look at the grand scheme of things. We have to show people that Hong Kong has the determination to provide comprehensive legal services which will not only benefit businesses but also every member of the public in Hong Kong. This is our ultimate goal. Thank you, Secretary, for your reply. Because of time limit, I will extend this meeting by 15 minutes first. Next, Mr. Tang Fei. Thank you. I'd like to talk about the rule of law education. The DOJ rolled out the rule of law education program. I want to know if this program can be expanded. Every year you serve about 300 students and teachers, so this is rather a small-scale program. Students from primary and secondary schools have to learn about our Constitution as well as the basic law nowadays. The Education Bureau would like to see a multi-pronged approach. That means teachers from different disciplines will have to take part in this kind of education. At schools, there aren't teachers who are dedicated to teaching rule of law. That is like if you are not a math teacher, you're forced to teach math. So you won't be able to teach math at the higher level. So my question is, will this rule of law education program be made a regular one, and can it be expanded to 1,000 schools in Hong Kong at primary and secondary levels involving at least a few hundreds of teachers? An important e-newsletter published by the DOJ talks about Constitution and the basic law, and the goal is mainly to educate our civil servants. Can the newsletter touch us more on the education of our Constitution, also on litigations as well as cases related to national security laws and the safeguarding national security ordinance be included in the newsletter? Also, we have to look for relevant teaching materials for schools, but they have to be easily comprehensible. So far, the newsletter and the relevant information targets only at our civil servants, so I want to know if we can have the relevant publications for primary and secondary school students as well. Secretary. Now, in recent years, we have been promoting the Rule of Law Education STARS Train the Leaders program. It's hard for us to train up several thousands or tens of thousands of students at the same time. There are people who need to promote the rule of law in their own jobs. For example, part of the participants of this program are students of the Hong Kong Education University. They have to take up the responsibility of promoting legal knowledge in their own positions. So in future, we will continue to take forward this program in this direction. Of course, we want to roll out more programs and courses in future, but we only have limited resources. We do not want to roll out superficial programs. We want to have in-depth exchanges and learning in the program. So we are promoting a rule of law through this pyramid. I thank Mr. Tang for the suggestion. In future, as we promote the basic law as well as the national security law, we will seek to, in a more easily comprehensible way, allow people to have a better understanding. We are currently working on a dedicated website for national security cases. There will be judgments to be included in the website as to whether there are ways for us to allow people to more easily understand these cases. We will try our best. We will take on board any valuable comments offered by members. My apology, I have another meeting to attend. I will pass the floor to the Deputy Secretary if necessary.
3 members are waiting to speak in the second round. Ms. Carmen Can. How much time do I have, Chair? 3 minutes. About the scope of application of IOMET, I have with me the Convention on the Establishment of the IOMET, International Organization for Mediation. It relates to the convention. I don't know whether this is the most up-to-date version. Article 24 of this convention stipulates that the IOMET will take cases not only relating to countries, they may also take cases relating to private disputes in international commercial law area. So that means it covers a very wide scope, including partners, enterprises, etc. Now, the IOMET headquarters will be commissioned in early 2026. So what is our role and our mission after its commissioning from the perspective of our government, and how will it promote the positioning of IOMET? And I understand that, as mentioned by the Department of Justice, 33 institutions have signed up as of the 30th of May, and later on 3 more have signed up. So the government should organize duty visits to promote the scope I mentioned, and that the IOMET will take cases not only relating to country or intergovernmental disputes. The other point is about legal aid measures. You mentioned specific measures to avoid over-concentration of cases by certain lawyers. Do you have a specific target in 2026? Deputy Secretary. I'll take the first question first, and my colleague will take the next one. You may recall in the middle of this year, with the establishment of IOMET headquarters in Hong Kong, many countries sent their representatives here to sign the convention. But that's not the end of the matter. They need to go back to their own countries for the ratification of this convention. And Ms. Khan also made a valid point just now when it comes to what cases the IOMET can preside over, apart from those mentioned in the convention, and that is disputes between countries, disputes relating to multinational groups or subsidiaries under multinational corporations. The IOMET has authority to preside over these matters as well. But this is not something within our government's control. In the future, there will be discussions on the establishment of the Secretariat, the cases that the IOMET can process, etc. We need to engage other members of the convention as well. This will be crucial to our status as an international legal hub, and will definitely continue to mount publicity and promote the IOMET headquarters and their operation in Hong Kong. Director of Legal Aid. Thank you, Ms. Khan, for the question. Do we have specific targets in 2026? think that was a question. We have a regular review of the FEL financial eligibility limits as well as the director's first legal charge. One specific measure is to ensure that there will not be overconcentration of cases among certain lawyers. We want to make sure that the resources will not be overconcentrated and for the long-term healthy development of the legal profession. So I urge the Legal Aid Department to take note of the response of the legal profession, including the two legal professional bodies as well as the views of the Legislative Council. I look forward to your regular reports. Ms. Maggie Chan. About the policy measures relating to the administration of justice and legal services in the policy address, I think I support the overall direction. But we are experiencing pain points relating to transformation of the legal profession, and I don't see any support for small to medium-sized law firms in the policy address, and support for younger lawyers. I appreciate policy measures such as training, the task force to help mainland enterprises go global, wider use of AI, etc. But when it comes to upgrade and transformation, major law firms will definitely benefit from the process. But small to medium-sized law firms and YBs or young barristers are often left out. So my question is whether the Department of Justice has dedicated measures to help them. There should be dedicated support for them. Because otherwise, they do not have the government's support. Only the 1, 2, or 3% of the legal profession benefits from the government's policies. And I don't think this is the intention of the government. About the International Legal Talent Training Academy, as I understand, you will open up more training opportunities for the profession. And there are also other measures such as playback of the video training sessions. Perhaps we can prepare video clips and allow to foster exchange so that they can exchange their WhatsApp or WeChat contact. This will be beneficial for the profession. The next point is about law tech. May I know the progress of development in this regard, such as the Hong Kong pilots and Hong Kong chat under Hong Kong Guide? Will you expedite the research and development of AI dedicated to legal practitioners in Hong Kong? This can benefit as small to medium-sized law firms and YBs. Now, very briefly, when we consider the formulation of policies, the Department of Justice supports not only major law firms in Hong Kong. We also support small to medium-sized firms. For example, allowing law firms to set up presence in the Greater Bay Area. We are considering refining this policy. And small to medium-sized law firms may enjoy certain advantages in the Greater Bay Area as we promote dispute resolution and arbitration in the Greater Bay Area. for Hong Kong enterprises to adopt Hong Kong law in the mainland, barristers with local background may enjoy advantages. Let me give you another example about helping mainland enterprises go global. Let me reassure Ms. Chen that definitely we will include small to medium-sized law firms. We have some leading and top-notch mega corporations in the mainland which are interested in going global. But is it true that small to medium-sized law firms in Hong Kong will be left out? That's not necessarily the case. In fact, according to our experience, for small to medium-sized mainland enterprises, they have shown interest in going global as well. Now, small to medium-sized law firms may not be so well endowed, but they can offer professional services to mainland enterprises, big or small. So, you talked about organizing duty visits and preparing publicity video clips. And this is something that we will definitely consider. We want to provide a platform for small to medium-sized, even micro enterprises in the mainland to engage the services of small to medium-sized law firms as well. In fact, in the beginning of December, the Hong Kong Legal Week will be held for 3 days in a row. We're going to mount a special publicity for the sector to promote the law tech products so that these products can be promoted in local market, and we'll continue to take forward the promotion on law tech. Your time is up. Tax incentives on the procurement of law tech, please. Noted. Mr. Paul Chair. Well, let's see if there is objection to extending the meeting by another 15 minutes. No objection. Mr. Paul Chair will be the last one to speak. I thank Mr. Maggie Chan for her heartfelt remarks. She is a founding president of the Association of Small to Medium-Sized Law Firms, and I think she has made an excellent point. It's not just about creating a bigger pie. The Department of Justice is supposed to be guardian of the legal profession. It plays a pivotal role. In fact, I was once a barrister. I was engaged in international IP disputes. So I don't just work for the average Joe in Hong Kong. In fact, as early as 1991, I went to Beijing and set up presence there. But what I want to say is this. About helping enterprises go global. If we're talking about multinational corporations, such as those in the US, if they want to invest in the mainland, they would definitely lead the whole legal team from the US to the mainland. That's the same for Europe. They would definitely engage their own legal teams, which share the same background and the same values. So that's the same for mainland enterprises as well. For construction companies in the mainland going global, they would have their own team of mainland construction workers. Still, I'm not saying that we'll be driven out of business. That depends on the common law system that we practice. They would definitely have core members of the team being mainlanders or mainland lawyers who have received overseas legal training. against the current international landscape, we face pressure, and we must not forget our legal profession in Hong Kong. Still, we need to have regard to the reality. Don't just talk about progress and all this big talk without really benefiting members of the public in this economic plight. Another point is this, about funding applications for the torture claims mechanism. Deputy Secretary, you may recall there were lots of criticisms from members of this council, and yet the government explained that we have to abide by the rule of law and we need to respect the court's ruling. Now, coming back to my point, I'm not saying no to the funding application. Still, I may not take part in the next term of LegCo. So how are you going to deal with the funding application?
Deputy Secretary, we adopt a common sense approach on this interdepartmental working group to be led by myself to help mainland enterprises to go global. We will listen to the views of large-scale and small-scale mainland firms. We have actually talked to them. So this is not just about common sense. I was told that some mainland enterprises, they go global themselves. If they do not do so, they might not be able to survive. A lot of these mainland enterprises are not familiar with the laws as well as equity acquisition, and they ran into a lot of problems because of this. In Hong Kong, we are closely connected to the global market because we have a lot of experiences in dealing with international laws, and that's where our strengths lie in terms of our professional services. In the past, we had countries or enterprises from the West going to the mainland through Hong Kong. Now, we can also make use of our professional service and help mainland enterprises go global. So please rest assured that we will be able to contribute our strengths. We will not only serve large-scale organizations. For small and medium enterprises, they will be able to benefit from our policy as well. Now turning to what Mr. Porche said about the bill being voted down as well as our system to deal with torture claims. The registration of same-sex partnerships bill shows that the legislature as well as the judiciary have each played their role. The legislature respects the decision made by the judiciary, but we were met with divergent views. Still, the government tried its best to garner support, and the legislature voted down the bill because of its own decision. Well, but does that mean things will change if we table the bill again? No, this is because the community has its own views on this matter. The executive branch will continue to look at the situation, and we hope to forge a consensus as wide as possible so that a proposal to be rolled out can be acceptable to all. But we cannot just based on one bill that we say that there are problems between the legislature and the executive branch. Instead, this shows that the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive have each played their roles and duties. Just one quick question. Does that mean we will be able to vote down on funding proposals for dealing with torture claims? I believe each LegCo member will, based on his or her decision, vote in favor of or against a bill, but I believe we will take into consideration the benefits of our society. The executive branch cannot control what LegCo members do, but I believe that you will all, based on your conscience as well as the overall interest of our society, in making every decision. Now, we are concluding this item. Last agenda item, any other business? There being no further business, today's meeting is the last meeting of this legislative session. I'd like to hereby thank members, the administration, as well as the administration wing for their support to this panel. There being no other matters, meeting adjourned. Thank you.